broadcasts your emotions.
Buongiorno a tutti, lo scopo di questo
Hello everyone. The aim of this second video is to illustrate the correct installation procedures, but above all to show how simple it is to use the new equipment in the indium line made by Elenos. This is the original packaging that you receive with the equipment. Inside you can find the ETG, the information CD containing the manuals and technical documentation, and any tools needed for the correct installation and operation of the equipment. The packaging has been carefully designed to protect the equipment during transport. It is totally protected by casing so that it can be transported safely and protected from mechanical shocks or any other problems due to transport. After the ETG has been taken out of its packaging, it looks like this. The front panel with its air intake grille, a VNC connector for an RF monitor, a connector for its telemetry, control and operation keys, and an encoder for selecting the parameters on the front panel in order to confirm the list of controls and to choose the pages and display to be consulted. The key, which is very important for switching from local operation to remote operation. I would like to underline the importance of this key, which ensures that once the ETG is connected to a remote telemetry system, either GSM or web-based, it must remain in remote mode, otherwise the equipment cannot be measured remotely. The last detail is the programming button, which can be found on the side of the machine. Following the detailed instructions in the manual, this switch must be operated for reprogramming the machine, if firmware updating is ever required.
Illustrato il nostro ETG per quanto riguarda il suo pannello frontale.
Having illustrated the front panel of the ETG, now let's take a look at the parts on the rear panel. On the rear panel you can find the power input connector for connecting the electric cable, the cooling fan unit, the RF output connector to which the RF cable is connected for the aerial. The connector changes according to the power capacity of the ETG. And the part relative to the input audio signal, the MPX signal, the stereo signal left and right, AES or EBU for the markets that need it, and a very important thing in the required configurations, a telecontrol and telesignal board where the external interlock key is to be connected during installation.
Attaccare la nostra chiave di interlock esterna in questo modo. Iniziamo adesso la nostra fase di installazione.
Now let's get started on the installation stage. First comes the electrical mains connector, where the three conductors, earth, neutral and phase, need to be connected.
La nostra terra, il nostro neutro e la nostra fase. Ricordo a tutti.
Remember, the electrical configuration is 200 volts for European connections or American standard.
standard americano.
Next comes the earth connection of the ETG body and the earthing of the station, with the connection of the RF cable for the aerial. Remove the protection and connect the aerial cable to the machine's output connector.
Il cavo dell'antenna al connettore d'uscita della macchina.
Making sure that the contact is good between the connector and the cable, and ensuring that the connector is tight so as to prevent adaptation problems and any return loss when the machine is on.
Per evitare problemi di adattamento o presenza di return loss a macchina accesa. Dopo il collegamento del cavo della nostra antenna,
After the aerial cable has been connected, the cables for the audio signal must be connected. This includes the MPX signal connection, the right and left channel connections, and stereo configuration if necessary. This is a standard configuration for the correct installation of the ETGs.
Una volta eseguite tutte le operazioni,
After carrying out all the operations listed above, the electrical power is supplied. The configuration of a correct installation is as follows. A green LED means electric power is being supplied. A yellow LED means standby, so the machine is not on air but is supplying power and is ready to receive the on-air command. DPLL lock LED, which means DPLL inside the ETG is coupled to the work frequency set. A blue LED means the ETG is in local configuration, so all the operations can be carried out from the front panel using the encoder. Once the operations and settings are complete, to monitor the ETG remotely, the machine must be set to remote configuration.
Ricordo a tutti di posizionare la macchina in configurazione remota.
Once the correct power supply phase has been carried out, the encoder on the front panel can be used to set or change the three fundamental parameters for correct transmission. That is, the working frequency, the output power, hence the target power of the ETGs, and the audio signal level, so as to obtain the correct deviation of the audio signal. As shown on the display, these are the factory settings for the new ETGs made by Elenos. Working frequency 98 MHz, output power, target power, maximum machine value, and attenuator of the audio signal level to 0 decibels. Now let's set the basic operating parameters of the ETG, that is, the output power, working frequency, and level of the audio signal. The encoder is used to choose the parameter to be changed, which in this case is the output power, the target power of the machine. It is confirmed using the enter key on the encoder, and the output power level is changed. In this case, a value of 500 watts has been chosen. After reaching the target, it can be confirmed by pushing the enter key. You can return to the main screen by keeping the encoder pressed for more than 3 seconds. This is valid for every point in the menu.
Tenendo premuto per più di 3 secondi il coder. Questo sempre in ogni punto dei nostri menu dove noi ci troviamo. Una volta posizionata la potenza di targa, andiamo a posizionare
Once on the target power, the audio signal level can be set. Move the audio attenuator on the inside of the ETG in order to obtain the right deviation of the modulating signal. Then, as before, it can be confirmed using the enter key. Now you can move into the negative or the positive field so as to obtain the correct deviation.
Sia in campo negativo che in campo positivo per avere la corretta deviazione. I nostri ETG indipendentemente dai
Regardless
gradi
of
di
the power
potenza,
capacities,
sono
the
equipaggiati
ETGs
con
are
una
equipped with a
barra
graphical bar,
grafica
and when the audio
dove,
signal reaches zero,
quando
it
il
means
segnale
that the
audio
ETG
arriverà
is
al
deviating more or
valore
less
0,
75 kHz.
questo si vuol dire che il nostro
After
ETG sta
setting the audio
deviando
signal parameter,
più o
it
meno
can be
75
confirmed using the
kHz.
enter key.
Una volta terminato l'impostazione del parametro del segnale audio, confermiamo con il tasto Enter. Procediamo adesso all'impostazione della frequenza di lavoro.
Now let's move on
Per
to
le
setting the working
impostazioni
frequency.
di fabbrica, i nostri
Due to the
ETG
factory settings,
escono
the
già
ETGs are
settati
already
98
set to 98 MHz.
Se la
So
nostra
if the
frequenza di
transmission
trasmissione sarà
frequency is
diversa,
different, press
allo
enter
stesso modo,
and move the working frequency.
Enter e andiamo a
In this case, for
spostare
example,
la
when a
frequenza di
frequency of
lavoro.
108
In questo caso, per
MHz is
esempio,
reached,
andiamo
it
a
is then
108
confirmed using the
MHz.
enter key. You will have
Una
noticed
volta
that as the
arrivato
frequency
al
changed,
valore
the yellow
desiderato,
and PLL LEDs went off.
confermo con il
This
tasto
means that the
Enter.
PLL was reaching the new working frequency.
Avete notato che
Once the
al
frequency
variare
is
della
set and the
frequenza,
yellow
il
LED comes
LED
back
giallo
on,
del PLL
it
si
means that the
attiva.
frequency
Questo
setting was
significa che il nostro
successful
PLL stava
and the ETG is
agganciando
ready
la
to be
nuova
switched
frequenza di
on.
lavoro. Una volta impostata la frequenza e il LED giallo torna ad essere acceso, questo significa che l'impostazione di frequenza ha avuto esito positivo e il nostro ETG è pronto per essere acceso. Una volta eseguiti correttamente
Once all the
tutti
electrical and
i
aerial
movimenti
connections have been
elettrici
successfully
della
completed,
selezionate
the output
la
frequency
target, la
target,
frequenza di
the
uscita,
working
la frequenza di
frequency,
lavoro,
and the
il
size of the
segnale
audio
bits,
signal have been
segnale audio che
selected,
vogliamo
all you need to do
trasmettere.
is send the ETG on air.
Rimane solamente di mandare on air il nostro ETG. Operazione
This is a
semplicissima,
very simple
basta
operation. Just press
pigiare
the
il
on
tasto
key.
di on. Come vedete,
As
il
you can
nostro
see,
ETG ha
the ETG
raggiunto
has
già
already
la
reached the target
potenza di
power very
target
quickly,
in un
and if the
tempo
aerial
molto
connections have been
limitato
carried out
e
correctly,
se
maximum
le
output power
connessioni
and very low
dell'antenna sono
reflective
state
power will
eseguite in
be
maniera
obtained.
corretta, avremo massima potenza di uscita e bassissima potenza riflessa. Durante le operazioni di startup,
If
di
during
messa on
startup and
air del
going on
nostro
air the
ETG,
red LED comes on,
si
it
dovesse
means there is a
presentare
fault,
l'accensione
or
del
that the
LED
ETG
rosso
has been installed
sopra,
incorrectly.
ciò significa che è in corso un'anomalia di funzionamento o una non corretta installazione del nostro ETG. Rimandiamo alla lista
Please
degli
refer to the
allarmi
list of
per
alarms to
trovare
find the
il
type of
motivo
alarm
dell'allarme
and
e
identify the
identificare
solution.
la soluzione.
Awareness. Broadcasts your emotions.